Today I'm going to work on repairing a chair. Actually, I'm going to kind of rebuild the chair. It came to me with the back broken. I've taped it together just enough to show you how it's supposed to work. The back fits into a mortise and tenon and fits along here like that. But when I got the chair, these two side support pieces were broken in half. I'll take one of them off to show you. These things were broken in half. I glued it together here just enough to be able to reconstruct. But this is really thin. You know, it's like 5/8 inch thick by 5/8 inch wide. Two of these things supposed to support a person's back. It just wasn't enough, and they broke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some white oak, and I'm going to use the shop bot to make new pieces, much heavier, and install them. So stay tuned. I'll cut 4 of these side pieces at a time in a 24 by 8 by 1 3/16 piece of oak. And you can just barely see the outline of a piece. It's got a little mortise there for this little decorative part that fits in. And if we go ahead and do a preview of the tool paths, you can see what they'll look like. Got little tabs to hold them in. And I can just do another one mirror image for the other side of the 4 chair pieces. For those of you who've been following my videos, in some of the early videos, when I zeroed the Z-axis on the shop bot, it was very noisy. Since then, I found out there's an adjustment that I can make on the drivers for the motors, and I want you to hear how quiet this is now. In addition, I put on the Z-axis modification. It gives me a 5.5 inch Z-axis, and that comes with a proximity switch. And when you set it up, after you've done the zeroing, the carriage raises up, hits the proximity switch, and then drops down a little bit so that you get your dust boot on. So it's kind of nice. There you go. You can see the mortise for that little decorative piece, a little tenon here that has to go into the seat rail, and I've got a mirror image piece just like it. I'll just cut the tabs, clean it up, and we'll be all set. Now these chair backs have a little piece of decorative molding that is broken, so I've got to make at least one, so it's easy just to make 4 at the same time. They have a little design here, rabbits for a tongue and groove, front and back. So I'm going to do a front and back cut on the shop bot. Here you can see I've laid out 4 of these. 2 of them are upside down, 2 of them are right side up. That'll be the front. I've got 2 alignment holes that are centered vertically. I can put dowels into those. I can drill into the spoil board, put dowels in that. Then I can flip this over. And let me just go ahead and reset that. Flip it over. I'll go ahead and draw the alignment holes, and I will now draw the rabbets that we're going to do on the back. Okay, so after flipping it over, I'll run these rabbets on the back. I'll actually make the back cuts first. Flip the board over, do the front cuts, and cut them out. And that'll give me rabbets front and back for the tongue and groove, and the completed design with the, you can see it's relieved here slightly, so the machine will cut that out and leave this raised design. Okay, so I have the rabbets on the back done. I've unscrewed it. I'll just go ahead and flip it over, put the dowels in the little holes that I had cut. Now I know it's properly aligned, I can screw it back in and cut the front. You don't want to just rely on the screw holes for alignment because that's not exact enough. Here they are, all four parts cut out with tabs holding them. All I got to do is cut the tabs and take these out, but I've got the rabbets on both sides properly registered. I've got the relief here. You know, this could have been done by hand. I think it would have taken a long time getting this relief right and getting this small border right and not breaking it and getting all the tabs registered, or all the rabbets registered properly. So, you know, I keep believing that every time I turn around, I'm finding a new use for a new tool in my furniture making. Now I'm just going to use my chisel to cut the parts out. I'll cut enough for one chair. Just cut through the tabs. And that's one of the leg parts, and you can see, let me get that lined up. It's a nice duplicate, but it's much wider. It'll be much stronger. The original back was doweled to this piece, but I'm going to actually cut a mortise in each side here, and have those side pieces go all the way on in. So I'm just getting rid of the excess here. The shock block can only go so far in getting what I want. I really need to fair in the top of this nicely into the crest rail. So there's nothing like good old spoke shaves. Okay, here's a dry fit. We've got the mortises and tenons down here, and I'm using the tenon that's on the middle of this existing backsplat, but it seems to work okay. I've done a test sit as well. I did a little practice on some scrap white oak and discovered that if I do a wash coat of 1 pound blonde shellac, I can get better control of the stain penetration. And now that the surfaces are sealed with shellac, I'm going to use some gel stain. Okay, the new wood's been stained, and I put one coat of satin varnish on there. I'm going to now glue this up, and then we'll do a final coat of varnish and we'll be done.